As we all know, this is the season of giving, anticipating and exchanging material gifts such as toys or clothing. One of our MHS administrators, one that we all know and love, gave the best gift of all, the gift of life.
Tony and I met 20 years ago. I was in college working midnights at Pepsi, and we met through working at Pepsi. He worked at Pepsi then at that time. Tony's like a brother to me, has been for almost 20 years. I watched him with kidney disease last couple of years, suffering through that, being sick a lot, in a lot of pain and in and out of the hospital. Last year on dialysis. And I know students have family members on dialysis, and our staff do. If you know somebody on dialysis, it's tough to watch them go through that. And kidney failure, it was tough to watch. So, when you watch your brother go through that, or your best friend, that was kind of a no-brainer. Here's my friend with no kidneys, and I'm sitting with two. So, my wife and I, it was kind of a no-brainer. That's what you do. It's your family, it's your brother. Learning about the process, I didn't realize this was from the time I went to be tested to see if we were a match. It was almost a year process. 20 to 30 different tests, blood tests, and through St. Vincent Hospital down in Indianapolis, they have a live donor center, and they have a really high success rate in terms of their surgeries and transferring one donor to another, or one kidney to another. Their success rate's really high, so we felt really good going into the surgery. But again, when you're going through it with a friend, I couldn't imagine going through the surgery alone. But knowing, your best friend's right there, even the morning of the surgery, we were laughing with the doctor, making jokes, having a good time in the hospital side by side with each other. The recovery took some time. Obviously, I've been out for 5 weeks, and I came back to school yesterday. The recovery time was a 4 to 6 week recovery time. I think the reaction from people was incredible. It was shocking, the outpouring of appreciation and the kind words that people had said through email. The cards that I was getting for students, hundreds of cards to my house from students and staff. That was really encouraging,
I think it is very admirable what Mr. Stamper did for his friend who was in need of a kidney transplant. Made a very big sacrifice and should be praised for making such a crucial decision.
Friendship to me is having someone in your life that you would do anything for outside of blood. And I think Mr. Stamper has done something truly amazing. He has honored that friendship. And that friend of his, that's no longer a friend. That person is family.
When I think of what Mr. Stamper did for his friend, the word that comes to mind is selflessness. That's a character trait that we all should, want to have. But Mr. Stamper took the concept of selflessness to another level by literally giving part of himself to his friend so that his friend could have a better quality of life. And for that, he deserves so much respect and admiration.
100% all of our staff members here at MHS feel just the same as these three administrators. But there's one staff member here who can relate to Mr. Stamper the most.
I commend Mr. Stamper for donating his kidney to one of his closest friends. The reason why I say this is because I have 3 people that in my life had went through kidney renal failure, they call it. The first person that I encountered with was my stepson. He's 23 years old. He had 2 kidney transplants. The first one, his biological mom kidney, it didn't take. So a year after that, he had to get a deceased person's kidney. He had to be rushed, straight to the hospital, and it's been about 4 years, if I can say, and he's doing fine. He lives in Michigan. The second person that it affected, it was my far as the organ, being an organ donor, just generally, I had a nephew that passed at 14. He impacted 4 lives. When he passed, my brother agreed to have his eyes, his kidney, his liver, and his heart donated, all in Indiana residents. The third person that far as organ donation goes, I have a stepfather that's waiting on a kidney. It's been about 10 years, and when you need an organ, far as a kidney, you're limited as far as what you can do, swimming, just the regular daily activities that we take for granted is limited for people with renal failure. So I commend and encourage anyone that can and will sign your name and be an organ donor. It help and it save lives.
Certainly, you know, when the doctors ask me or my family ask me, you know, why you're doing this, you know, I think you know, I've been a teacher for 17 years. I think, like our staff, you know, teachers have a giving heart and attitude. They give to students every day, all day long. It's the most honorable profession there is teaching, and I respect the heck out of our teachers. I think in that they are heroes. Teachers are. Teachers are truly heroes. I think in my life, you know, giving as a teacher was meaningful. But in life, as you kind of get older, you want to do something meaningful. Next to being a good husband and good father, I think giving to a friend in that way, if you can, if ever that opportunity comes across and you're able to save a life, you know, that's the number 2. Again, like I said, next to being a father and a husband, this is probably the second most meaningful thing I've ever been able to do in my life. You know, so I would encourage anybody that, you know, if they know somebody, obviously to do that, to step out and see if you are a match.
If you have any interest in donating, here is a link to get started. Or please stop by and see Mr. Stamper, who would be very happy to provide information. A second link will also provide information on living donations.
As you can see, Mr. Stamper knows the real meaning of Christmas and friendship by giving away his kidney. Would you give your friend a kidney? I know I would now because of him. Signing off for PNN, I'm Jacoby Woolbine. And Merry Christmas, Maryville.